So if you haven't heard this before, you're enough. And I think this is like one of those weird things that we don't really accept about ourselves. We don't really believe about ourselves. If somebody looks at you and says that you have value, you have worth, we tend to go to the question side. We tend to question why they're saying this. Like, we think that what they're saying has some ulterior motive, or we don't really believe it about ourselves. Why? Because it's so easy to believe the lie. Like, think about how easy it is to believe that you're not worth it. Think about how easy it is to think that you're not lovable. Think about how easy it is to fall into this lie, into this rut, that the things that are going good for you in this life, that those things don't mean anything. And I think that we struggle with this in this world because it really keeps us down. Like, it keeps us away from what we could potentially be. And I know I'm a person that's dealt with these things myself. We're feeling like I'm not going to be successful because of those insecurities. But there's something that just really helped me see through this. And that's what we're talking about this episode. So the mountain of feeling like you're not enough, like, that is a huge, huge, huge mountain for so many of us. Like, it is one of those things that we will struggle with for the rest of our lives, because so many things we talked about, like imposter syndrome in this podcast, and those hurdles that we have to battle and deal with people around us, that these things all play this factor, whether we're aware of it or not, that limit us. And I know, you're probably so tired of hearing people say that the only person that you have to battle is you, that you are the only limit and all these things. But there are voices in our head that aren't our voices. Like, there are things that have been said about us or done to us through our lives that has stopped us from really believing that we're worth it. Like, I've had so many conversations, so many people, and my own experience, things like that, where I've dealt with like relationships, romantic relationships, or people have dealt with romantic relationships, and those things have stifled the things that they do next. I know people personally who can't move to a healthy relationship because they're so hurt and scarred from the toxic one they were in before, that nothing changes. And they think that they're not going to change, that they're not going to heal, that they're not going to detach, that they're not going to become better, that the next thing is going to be the same thing, that they believe that they're going to remain in that place. I need you to understand that because someone hurt you before doesn't mean that your worth is only dictated by that hurt. Like, you are not the pain that was caused to you. You're not limited to that thing just because somebody else did it. And the reality is that for a lot of us, we stay in that, right? We stay in this rut of those things because that has limited our self-view of us. It's limited how we love us. It's limited how we see us. It's limited what we do. And that mountain at the end of the day is only going to be conquered by understanding that that's not who you are. That, yes, they might have limited you. They might have said things, but that doesn't actually dictate you. That's not the thing that stops you. So being able to understand that is going to change everything. And as we talk about this mountain, as we talk about this reality that we feel like we're not enough, we need to first understand that our worth is not dictated by somebody's lack of understanding of it. Like, our worth is not dictated by them not being able to actually see it. Why are you allowing people who have no true value in your life make you feel like you're not enough? Like, why are you allowing people who can't see the goodness in you, who can't dictate that, who don't have any authority in your life, make you feel as if the things that you're doing aren't good enough? And we have this horrible habit of letting people that couldn't love us fully and properly dictate how we love later. We let the people that have hurt us make us feel like we're not going to ever feel valued or loved because they couldn't see that. I need you to understand that there is no authority that these people have that you haven't given them. There is nothing in this place that we create out of this that isn't something we've allowed to happen. And I know it sounds like it's easier said than done. I get it. I understand that it's difficult to break out of these patterns, but at the end of the day, we will continue to stay in places that we refuse to acknowledge. We will continue to stay in situations that just don't serve the fullness of us. And this is not just like romantic relationships, right? Sometimes these are family wounds. There are people in our lives, family members that have spoken to us poorly, that have treated us poorly, that we've continued to allow them this power over us. Why? Because again, it's just easier to believe the lie. It's easier to believe that that's who you are. And this affects every aspect of us. This affects how we dive into romantic relationships, how we raise our family. We could keep repeating cycles of these things. You deserve to be free of the lie that you are only lovable based on the level that you've received. It affects us in our identity. Like, we don't even know who we are, because we think that we're only as good as someone has told us. And again, I know that we all struggle with different things in different stages, in different places, but I need you to understand that there is nothing in this world that should ever have the authority to make you feel like you're not lovable, to make you feel like you don't deserve the fullness of everything. we will continue to stay in ruts just because it's what we think we deserve. And your self-worth, this mountain of not feeling like you're enough, is going to continue to be huge, because if my worth is only tied to what people have said, and I said this often, like the applause of other people, the approval of other people, if we stay in those places, we will be miserable. I used this quote before from Rick and Morty, and the quote was, "I don't care that you boo for me because I've seen what you cheer for. Like, I don't care what the approval of people is, that the people don't like me. They don't like what I'm doing or what I'm saying, because I've seen the things that they actually like, the things that they have given value to." And when we learn that our value is not based on what we receive or don't receive, when we learn that the people that couldn't love us fully don't deserve to dictate how we love completely, that those people were not people that had that authority, there's something freeing that happens. There's like a chain that just breaks, because you're no longer stuck in that. There's so much value to knowing that. The biggest lie you will ever believe is that you're behind. The lie of comparison says that you have to look like them to feel how they pretend to be. In this mountain of our self-worth, our love, our just us, of knowing what we're worth, the biggest thing that we struggle with is comparing where we are to where people pretend to be. We compare this illusion of their lives to us. And there's something that happened a couple years ago called Snapchat dysmorphia, where there were literal people taking filters of themselves and going to a doctor and saying, "Doctor, I want to look like that." So there's dysmorphia that was happening, specifically with young girls. But it was happening where people were literally taking this filter of what they saw, and they said, "This is what I want to look like." Why? Because the way that they saw themselves, they didn't see value in them. They didn't see beauty in them. They saw this filter and thought, "Man, this is what I need to look like." Think about the world that we live in. It's a world full of comparison. So many people are going to think that they're behind. They're going to think that things aren't happening. They're going to think that they aren't moving, because they are comparing what they pretend to be to where they actually are, to what people are doing in this fictitious way, to the place that they are in themselves. We combat that by being real. Like, we need to be real about where we are and what we're doing, and we need to hone in our lives and not fantasize over anyone else, because it's easy to get lost in the fantasy of what other people are doing or saying. It's easy to get wrapped up in that, because again, that is just this fallacy that if this is what they're doing, that means that I should be doing it too. And we see it in stuff like relationships, right? Where we see it like in marriages or the desire for it. They're beautiful. I don't want to downplay or take away the value of like being married and having a family and all these things. But there's so many people that think that their timeline has to look like what everyone else's is for them to be genuinely happy, that they come to the point where they idolize marriage. They create an idol out of something that just might not be the season that they're in right now. And it might be a season that they're in a long waiting period. But the problem comes to us that when we would make this our lives, when we make it everything, we ruined everything else. We've only fantasized and thought about and romanticized the idea of this thing so much so that even when we actually get it, we hate it. Because the idea was so potent and so powerful and what we thought it would be like, that when we actually get the real thing, we don't realize that we created a story of what this thing could look like. We created a fantasy around it. We didn't take it for what it was, for the value, for the beauty it had, because I was so impatient in waiting for the story that I had, that the reality didn't look as nice. So now this thing that you've made an idol, this relationship, this marriage, this family that you've created an idol out of, doesn't look like the real thing, and you hate it. Unfortunately, we are competing against what other people are doing. We feel like we're enough. We're not enough. We feel like we're not moving enough or doing enough because we've created stories and didn't learn to love and appreciate the season that you're in now. And I get it. I know that it can seem like it's tedious. It can seem like it's laborious. It can seem like it's something that just doesn't make sense. But the longer we sit and romanticize these things, the longer we don't allow ourselves to love where we are now, the more we learn to hate where we are now. And now you're not living a life of purpose and love. You're living a life of purposelessness. If that's even a word. I don't think that's a word. But you're going to hate the transition and the period that you're in. We need to understand what's real and what's just a clip of what we see, because it's easy to get lost in these things. And I mentioned this specifically like through social media and these metrics in this world. First of all, I'm so grateful for social media because it's given me the tools and the abilities to communicate with people, to reach people, to share the message that I want to share, to be able to make it a career, to make this my livelihood. It's beautiful. It's such a purposeful and powerful thing when we use it correctly. But there's also this downside where no matter the age that you're in, you look at these things and you start to think to yourself, why am I not doing this? Like, why am I not in these places? Why am I not on these stages? Why am I not traveling around the world? Why am I not there? And you lose the beauty of the life that you're in now. You lose the love of the place that you're in now because you're so busy loving everyone else's pretend life that you don't realize how good the life you have is now. And that is one of the biggest tools of our enemy that would ever be used, is this lie that you're not enough, that you're not doing enough, that you're not moving enough, that you're not in a place right now that you need to be in. You are doing what you need to be doing. You're growing the way you need to be growing. It is a beautiful life that you're living, but you can never enjoy the now if you're so fixated on everything else. And this is where we come into this reality where we need to redefine what our success looks like, what our achievements look like. It's sometimes your greatest success is going to be waking up. Like sometimes that is a victory. Sometimes just rolling out of bed is going to be a victory for some people because there's so many struggles that we deal with that we don't share with the world, that even that little thing. And again, I'm not saying that should be the one thing you aim for, but it should be a thing that you celebrate because we've lost the spirit of gratitude. The reason that we're not happy is because we're not grateful. We don't know how to be grateful for the little. So that when the big things come in our lives, it doesn't really matter. We're only aiming for the next thing and not enjoying the thing we're in now. If you do not learn how to love what you have now, you will never learn to love anything. You will never learn to love what's next. And learning to love what's in this season. There's a story that I love, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's the story of King Solomon. And King Solomon at this point, he's like at his wealthiest point. He's happy. He has all this money, and he commissions one of his jewelry makers. He wants him to go find or create a ring that will make him sad when he's happy and will make him happy when he's sad. So the jeweler goes and he's looking for the right people to work with and create all these things. And he goes throughout the entire town. He finds the right one. He finds the right ring and he brings it to Solomon. And Solomon is in the middle of this big party. He's like celebrating and laughing and eating and doing all these things. He brings him the ring. And the moment Solomon looks at the ring, he laughs and then he immediately begins to cry. On that ring was inscribed around the sides, "Enjoy this because it won't last." In a better lack of words, the shorter version of that, because there's more to it, but in just the shortest reality, that the good things won't last. But in that same breath, the bad things won't last. We need to learn to love where we are right now. We need to learn to love the moment because it's going to leave. And we need to also learn that same breath that the bad moments are bad, but we need to know that those things are going to leave. And even if that season seems longer and tedious and it breaks your heart more, if you learn to love where you are, then those things lose their power. Now, a big struggle for a lot of people, and myself included, is that we tie our self-worth to our productivity. Like, we tie how good we are based on how much we do. We tie our value and our just our personality and who we are to the level of accolades that we achieve, to the things that we make out of our lives. I need you to understand that you are not your achievements. You're not your success. You're not your work. You're not your promotions. You're not the more money you're making. You are who you were made to be. And that's who's worth it. That's who's loved. Everything else, that's beautiful. It's great. It's great that you have achievements. I don't want to downplay those things because that's a byproduct of your work. It is showing how good and how applied you are. But you are not those achievements. It doesn't mean that if you don't succeed, because what happens, right? What happens when you don't succeed? What happens when you don't hit the goal? What happens when you don't get the promotion? What happens when people can't see the things? Your worth is not tied to those things. And for a lot of us, we feel like we're not enough because we're not hitting those strides. We think that we're not enough because we're not blowing up on social media. We think we're not enough because no one is acknowledging our hard work. We think we're not enough because there are people around us that see what we can do and never value that. I need you to understand, that seems like our theme word here, that you are enough simply because you are. It's not based on what you do and who cheers for you, who applauds for you. It's based on who you were made to be. And your worth is never going to be tied to that. And I personally think that is the tool to living a genuinely happy and good life. Like, not connecting what people see or do to who you are. Not changing your persona or your heart or your mind or how you feel based on what these people say or what the world says or how successful you are. It's this reality where we're constantly seeking external validation. So we never internally learn to love ourselves. We've looked at the perspective that everyone else has had, and that's become our identity. And I know it's like a trigger word because there's so many things that so many people say and do, and we think that our identity is tied to, and all of these wonderful things that just are important in a season, but not for a life. They're good for where you are, but they shouldn't be the thing that drives everything. So I want just to challenge that. And again, I don't know where you are. I don't know where you're listening. I don't know what stage of your life you're in. But I want you to challenge. Like, I really want you to challenge that. What in your life is the reason that you think that your worth is tied to something? So it might be, like, example, career, right? You might be working at something, and you think that if you're successful in this thing, if you get the promotion, if you get the pay bump, that this is going to help you be defined. Like, where is it that you're going to fall into thinking that is going to tie and validate you? It could be the relationship. This is like a common one. I feel like I've seen this one so much, that so many people give their worth to a relationship. They think that their boyfriend or their girlfriend or their spouse or even their husband or their wife is going to be what validates them, what gives them the feeling of being enough, that their words or their compliments, that those things are going to be the things that drive that. Where is that particular thing in your life? And this is everyone, right? We all deal with this. We all go through this. No matter how big or how small or how successful or not successful, we all have a struggle where we tend to, and it's not always, right? There could be seasons where you're doing really well and not falling into that. And there are seasons where it's just you're falling completely, thinking that, man, I will only be successful or loved or known based on these things. So where in your life, and maybe it's past already, that you were tying to these things? And really sitting with that and analyzing why. Like, why am I feeling that way? Why was that authority there? Why was I allowing those things to just have so much authority over me? And allowing yourself to just be able to be open and vulnerable with you. The truth of the matter is that for a lot of people, the places where they need to heal and grow from are not places that are hidden to themselves. Like, they know what needs to change and what needs to move. The reason that they don't heal or change, again, is not because they don't want to. It's because they refuse to acknowledge their relationship to that thing. So they refuse to acknowledge the fact that they've tied their validation to how that was and how that is. And the only way that what's going to happen, the only way they feel validated, is through that. And we see that even, again, I hate to use relationships again because it's romantic relationships, because I feel like it's easy to pick on, but we do that with trauma bonding, right? So we bond over something that someone's done to us or something that's happened in our lives and that was traumatic, and we were both in that situation. So we created this relationship that we connected to it, but that's not healthy. That's not a place that we should be bonding. It's something that we should be learning to heal from and separate from, but we keep coming back to because we've become familiarized with what that pain feels like. A lot of us don't feel like we're enough because somebody we've been in a relationship with has not valued us, and they've taken away that worth and that self-worth that we're in, and they've created this gaping hole in us. So we keep trying to seek validation in other people and other things and other places. We commit mistakes and we fall and we make a hot mess of us. So this becomes a vicious cycle. You created a cycle of your pain, so you respond to the hurt but not to the healed version of you, and now you're living in this fraud. And the reason that we keep doing that is because we are trying to identify and heal what we felt like wasn't enough. And this becomes a mountain for a lot of us, that we stay down because someone has put us down. I need you to understand, again, that word, that you are not the devalue or the lack of love that anyone's ever given you. And we'll continue to play small and play short because we think that we need to be in that. We think we need to be that way. We think that if I try more in this place, that place, that's where I was not loved or valued. So if I try more there, that's where I'm finally going to be loved or valued. You are enough simply because you are. And there is a sadness that happens, and I'm speaking again from experience, from people that I know, where there are people who stay in that hurt for their whole lives. Like, they create a home in their wound. And they never change and never move because they've been so hurt and so scarred that they're willing to miss out on amazing things for them because they're they can't get out of it. They can't respond away from that. And if this is you, if you're a person that's struggling with this, unfortunately, the only way through is to be in it. Like example, if you're so hurt, again, we'll use that relationship example. In relationships, yes, take a season to heal. Yes, grow. Yes, change, develop, and become better. But you'll become comfortable hiding away from people because it will save you from the wounds that you've had before. Those wounds don't exist anymore. Those are things that were said to you and that were done to you that you were in and you grew and you healed from it. But those things are not you. And you don't need to remain underneath the hurt just because you think that that's all you'll ever be. I know, again, it's one of those easy things to say, and we can talk about that for days, and we can make this claim that you need to choose to move on, and I get it, it's difficult to make the decision, but the reality is that you are choosing something. You're either choosing to change or you're choosing to remain. You're choosing this next stage or you're choosing the stage you're going to stay in. And I'm not saying you have to pick the lesser of two evils, but you can't say that things are going to get better if you're not in a place for them to move. Like you can't say that you want to drive a car, but you refuse to get in the driver's seat. You can't say that you want to go outside, but you refuse to walk out of the door. There has to be something that is difficult that you choose to change in so that everything else can change. And we will miss out on amazing things in our lives because we've looked at our self-worth. We keep thinking we're not enough, so we don't move into the next place that will be enough, that will show you that you are enough. You deserve the fullness of what you were made for. Stop living in partiality. Stop living in the breadcrumbs. Stop living in the bare minimum of your life. Stop giving yourself the bare minimum because you think that that's all you're worth. We will never heal and we will never change because we refuse to do the painful thing. We refuse to take the next step. And we really believe that we're not enough because someone else has lied to you about your worth. Until you decide to be present in your own life, until you make the decision to say that I'm no longer going to sit in the backseat of my own life, I'm going to start driving, until you say that I'm willing to be hurt again, you will never be fully loved. Since we're on that topic of just romantic relationships, the reality is that it's impossible to be fully loved without being fully vulnerable. Like it's impossible to feel and be immersed and completely enamored by love if you're never willing to be hurt, because it's impossible to be close to love living inside of the walls of your wounds. It is impossible for you to put yourself in a place to know that you are valued, loved, and cared for if you are running away from it. And you will continue to miss on everything that will pour completely into you because you've thought that your past wounds and your past mistakes will define everything you are. I need you to understand, again, that nothing will change if you don't allow it to. And where you stay, you will stay. You will remain. No one can pull you out of anything. You're the only one that can show up for you. This is the power of being persistent in your own life. This is the power of saying that this thing that was said to me or done to me no longer has authority, and I'm going to put myself in a position to receive what I deserve. The mountain of not feeling like you're enough is only going to be destroyed or conquered by challenging it. There is no mountain that is ever fixed without you challenging it, without you looking at it, stepping into it and saying, you know what, this is a lie. And I'm going to change this and conquer this. And I'm going to be bigger and better than this thing. So as we just come to a close with this episode, I really, really think that for a lot of us, we will never be the best version of us until we're able to identify those things in our life that make us feel like we're not enough. Like, not just know that it stems from something or know that it was something that was said to me, but really look at it and say, where is it in my life that I've been felt like I'm not good enough? And really challenge those things.